Hello, YouTube. First, I would like to thank everyone for the love they've been showing me. I'd like to thank Nick for his kind comment in his previous video. I would also like to address and respond to VenomfangX, also known as Posterboy for Creationist Stupidity's hilarious November 2nd video in a totally amazing episode in epic ignorance entitled Intelligent Design and Plasticine, Part 1. Oh my gosh. The fallacies. So many fallacies. This is why he's the poster boy for creationist stupidity. Enjoy, everyone. So, first of all, follow the link in the sidebar to PCS's video and watch it before watching this. This is a refutation, and I don't want you to view VenomfangX's vlog, or whatever that baloney was, with biased eyes at first. I want you to watch it and then watch the refutation. I think that's how you should do it. Anyway, one of the first claims he makes is that you can't approach anything from the past with science, because science only deals with things you can replicate and experiment on. Oh, how wrong you are, Posterboy for Creationist Stupidity. Here we go. To quote Michael Shermer's excellent book, Why People Believe Weird Things, which I recommend all of you read. It's excellent. He directly addresses this. Second philosophical creationist objection. Science only deals with the here and now, and thus cannot answer historical questions about the creation of the universe and the origins of life in the human species. And Shermer replies, science does deal with past phenomena, particularly in historical sciences such as cosmology, geology, paleontology, paleoanthropology, and archaeology. There are experimental sciences and historical sciences that use different methodologies, but are equally able to track causality. Alright, you hear that, PCS? Do your research. Look up the methodologies of historical science. They are legitimate. Most epistemologists will say that they work, alright? Most philosophers of science will say that they work. They make falsifiable hypotheses a lot of the time. It's science, okay? Don't write off an entire realm of reasonable, academic, scientific discourse just because it gets in the way of your dogma, and just because the public will believe you when you say it's not science, because they've been given an oversimplified version of the scientific method. It's wrong to misrepresent how science works that way, and, well, quite frankly, I don't expect any better of you. So, PCS then presents to us a plasticine model of the Earth, a very crude one, and he says that if we assume, as we rightly do, that that was formed by a human or some other sapient entity, then how can we not make a similar assumption about our own planet, which is vastly more complex? And I will grant that it is vastly more complex, but he is displaying a very common creationist fallacy about why and how we derive what we know about how things formed. So, let us consider the Earth. The Earth. The Earth. So, how do we get information on how the Earth formed? Well, we can look at exoplanets, and we can look at other planets in our solar system. We can look to other solar systems, and we see protoplanetary disks. We see various stages of planetary formation. And from things like protoplanetary disks and star clusters, we can make mathematical models. We can look at how physics says those particles would tend to progress. And we find that they tend to progress towards the formation of planets. We find that gravity provides a perfect explanation for how all the rocks would be attracted towards one another, how they'd compact in the collisions, how there would be clustering, and how this would eventually lead to the formation of a planet. It's pretty simple stuff, and VenomfangX cannot say that this is not scientific, because all the laws of physics involved can be tested repeatedly. We know our laws of physics. I mean, they're probably going to change and be modified and refined. Quantum theory of gravity will emerge, but it won't change the overall argument. It won't change that protoplanetary disks tend to progress towards planetary systems. That's not going to change. And we can see intermediate steps through our telescopes. I mean, very powerful telescopes, obviously. But we see these things. So we see the steps. We see that by physics, it's natural for the steps to follow the progression we have outlined. And so, that's our empirical evidence. Rather to posit that a sapient ultradimensional entity created it, we have never seen a sudden formation of a planet. We haven't seen anything like that in our telescopes. We have never seen a sapient ultradimensional being. We have no physical laws concerning sapient ultradimensional beings or their interactions with our universe. On the other hand, we do have the theories of Newtonian gravity, general relativity, chaos theory, and all the other relevant mathematical physics with which we can form mathematical models and use our observations of exoplanetary, protoplanetary clouds and such to form our theories of how planets form. That's how we do it. Then let us take the example of the plasticine ball. We have seen humans mold plasticine balls. We have an empirical precedent for it, just as we have comparable empirical precedents for how planets form. So although under this case, our empirical precedent seems to show that plasticine models of the Earth are made in all our experiences by sapient beings. Hence, we see that sapient beings are probably responsible for this one too. Furthermore, we have never developed any model based on the known laws of physics for how such a ball could form naturalistically. There's not enough mass in it that it could gravitationally coalesce. It's not as though we see out in space lots of the requisite ingredients, lots of plasticine floating around. And even if we did, even if we saw that plasticine, it wouldn't coalesce into something like that and form naturalistically in that shape, because for it to coalesce into a sphere, for it to compress like that, there needs to be a lot of it. That's why planets are big, because when you've got a lot of that, it will be attracted, and eventually it will smooth out, because you've got all of this compressing in on itself. And that's how it happens. We have the maths. We have it all done. No one has done maths on plasticine. And if they did like this, and if they did, they would find that something that small would not form by a gravitational process, even if you had a lot of plasticine floating around in something analogous to a protoplanetary disk. It wouldn't form something of that size. The thing we have empirical precedent on for a plasticine spheroid, geoid model of the Earth is a sapient being, namely a Homo sapien, making it with an intelligent design-oriented purpose. On the other hand, we have never observed a sapient ultradimensional being produce a planet. This doesn't mean it can't happen, but we haven't observed it. We have no laws of physics or mathematical models dealing with it. But on the other hand, we have observed intermediate steps in planetary formation. We have physical laws and models that deal with it. We have science. Science, which you say has no relevance here. But we have it. We have peer-reviewed articles. We have mathematical models. We have computer simulations. What do you have? You have a fallacious analogy that puts the wrong reasoning behind our intuitive processes and assumes that because the process of thought is intuitive for most people, they won't realize why they see it that way. And so you mislead the public. So you deceive them into thinking that the analogy is valid, when really it's just that our empirical precedents are distinctly different. And so, an empiricist will come to the conclusion about the plasticine that you have reached, but it will come to the conclusion about the Earth that I have reached. And the empiricist will be correct in both cases. The empiricist will be more correct than you because he did not succumb or she, did not succumb, or it, or any other third gender you might propose, did not succumb to your false analogy.